Joel Corry, nice to meet you. How are you? And where are you?
Hey man, thanks so much for having me on. It's great to meet you too. And I'm at home in London at the moment. That's where I live. I've always lived here. So yeah, I mean it's getting to winter time now. So you know what the weather is like in England anyway. So it's starting to get really dark and even more rainy than usual.
Well, the winter, I'm in LA. The winter in LA, it's about 85 degrees. So it's not that, not that drastic. I'm exaggerating a bit, but
Yeah.
we don't have much of a winter in LA compared to London, of course. But yeah, Joel Corry's hanging out, you guys. We got lots to chat about music, life, everything. Joel, how has quarantine life, how has 2020 treated you? Like what's it been like for you?
Well, it's been an amazing year for me as far as my music goes. My recent track, Head and Heart, spent 6 weeks at number one in the UK, and that's a complete dream come true for me to have a number one single. But quarantine has affected me in a sense that all my touring as a DJ got cancelled or postponed this year, which I found really tough because performing and DJing is my number one love in life. I've been touring for 10 years without a break. So at the start of it, I was kind of like, okay, all right, maybe just a break to take a minute and step back from touring for a second, work on myself a little bit and get my head down to the studio. But obviously it's been months and months now without gigging, and I really am missing it. But fingers crossed we can get back to gigging next year.
Amen. I would imagine, like, with this track, Head and Heart, being so massive, you would never be home at this point with this track being like it is. And now it's just quite the opposite. You're stuck at home for the most part. So it's kind of an odd flip, if you will.
Yeah, I mean, I dream about the day of playing this record to a big crowd, which I haven't had the chance to do yet, and what's a reaction. And I know that day will come, and it will be even more special when it does happen.
That's
Um,
true.
but yeah, man, I have used the time productively to work on the studio. I mean, I finished Head and Heart during lockdown, so having that extra bit of focus and time to work on the music has definitely been a good thing for me. And you know what? I really feel like this Head and Heart track, it really connected with people because they were looking for sort of a positive, feel good track during this time. And I'm just happy that Head and Heart was able to, brighten up people's days a little bit.
There an album? Well, I'm told there's an album in the near or semi near future. What can you say? What can you reveal?
Oh yeah, I mean, obviously, like an album is something that I'm working towards. That's a massive goal for me. I feel like I need to probably drop a few more singles before I get to that point, but it's definitely in the pipeline. I'm so excited that I've signed a long-term deal with Atlantic Records in the UK, and they're a great team. And I'm really looking forward to the next few years and what's to come. And yeah, of course, an album is in the pipeline, and when that day comes, when that comes out, that's going to be a massive thing for me.
Joel, your fans, sometimes fans can get a little crazy. They can get a little extra. I love psycho fan encounters. Let me clarify. I'm not saying all your fans are psycho. They're beautiful, lovely, wonderful people. Have you ever had a psycho fan encounter?
um, do you know what? I've had a few funny DMs recently. I had one the other day that was it was like somebody asked if they could buy a pair of my socks, but they were very specific that the socks had to be worn in the gym without being washed.
What?
I know. I don't, I didn't go back to them.
So you didn't negotiate a price and
No, I
work
didn't
out a
get
deal?
into it.
Oh my god!
I thought maybe I'll swerve that one.
I need to be your agent, your sock agent. Like, all right, we'll sell some. I don't know what would they going. I'd be
How much
curious
did I get
what they
for
would
them?
pay. What do you
What
think
we
they would have
talking?
paid? I don't know.
What are we talking? I don't know,
All right,
man.
Joel, Sam Smith, he posted and he's made several statements on multiple platforms about your track, Head and Heart, featuring MNEK. He said this is the best thing out of the UK this year and saved him from COVID. That is Sam Smith's words about your song. I saw the post you made, but just what was your reaction when you heard that or when you saw that?
Yeah, I heard it live on radio, and I was not expecting it. I didn't know he was going to do the cover on the live lounge, and it blew my head off. I couldn't believe this was Sam Smith talking about mine and MNEK's record like this. I mean, he is just someone that I've looked up to for years and followed his career, and he's one of the most successful UK artists, and for him to kind of say that about Head and Heart is just the most amazing thing ever. And, he did an awesome cover of it. And I remixed his track recently, Diamonds. So I was really happy to jump on the remix for him as well. So this is just like the icing on the cake for him to say this about Head and Heart.
Yeah, that's got to be pretty spectacular to hear Sam Smith say that about your track. It's amazing. Joel, I think I know the answer to this question, but let me just throw it at you. How anxious are you, and you brought it up earlier, to finally get back on the road, tour, club gigs, all that? You got to be just raring to go.
I'm frothing at the thought of it, man. Literally, like I said earlier, DJing and performing is my nature, man. I've been doing it since I was a teenager, and it's a big part of my life. It's how I get my release. I love every minute of DJing in front of a crowd. It's what I do best. So I can't wait for it to come back. But you know what? One positive thing that I said to my friend the other day about this lockdown period is that I always knew how lucky I was to do this job. But having to have a break from it has just made me appreciate and know how lucky I am to actually do what I do. And I know that when it does come back, I'm gonna, appreciate every single moment of being back on the road.
That's true. They say absence. What's the absence
Yeah.
makes the heart grow fonder.
Yeah,
there it is. Are
I've
you?
used that one a few times.
Yeah, no doubt. Right. Are you in talks? Are you in talks to have for 2021 dates or 21 and beyond? Are you guys actively having talks right now, or is it just sort of wait and see?
No, we've got some stuff booked in. So fingers crossed, from sort of March onwards in the UK. And I've just announced my first ever show in Vegas in September. So absolutely buzzing, man. I've just literally posted it on my Instagram. I'm going to be out there at the end of September, and that's a dream come true for me. So hopefully I'll be getting some more US dates next year as well.
Oh, that's all. I can't wait to see you in person in the States, or maybe I'll just come to London. Who knows? But yeah, Joel Corry is hanging out. Joel, have you ever been mistaken for either the wrong celebrity or mistaken for yourself? And what I mean by that is, hey, you look a lot like Joel Corry. Do you get those at all?
I got it last night.
What happened?
I was sitting in, right, I'd just been out with my friends, right? We went to this sort of like social distance event in London, and the boys are a bit peckish after, so we found a local sort of like chicken shop just to get a little chicken burger. And I was sitting there, and someone came in, and I think they'd had a few too many drinks anyway, and they just walked straight up to the table when I was sitting there with my chicken burger, and they just looked straight in my face, goes, "You look like that Joel guy."
What do you do when they say that? Like what
I was like, "Oh, hi," and they're like, "Nah, it's not him. Nah." And I went, "Nah, you got it wrong." And they just went and ordered a chicken burger.
God, they're gonna be kicking themselves at some point when they realize, granted, they were drunk, but they're gonna be like, "Wait, we met Joel. We should have got a pick." Oh man, Joel Corry is hanging out, you guys. Joel, let's do this track, Head and Heart featuring MNEK. What do people need to know about this track that is basically, put you on the map in a lot of ways,
Oh yeah, man. This track is so special to me. It's I love the message behind the record. It's what drew me to the project in the first place, is this sort of conflict between your head and your heart. And sometimes in life, you've got to decide which way to go. And I think everybody can relate to that situation. And, I just hope this track, makes people feel good and brings them some positive vibes, because it's been a rough year for everybody. And that's what I'm seeing. I'm seeing it growing around the world and getting a lot of messages of people just saying, they're sticking it on in their car and it's just making them feel good. And yeah, that's what I love to see.
Joel, a two-part question. Biggest crowd you've ever performed for, and the flip of that, have you ever been booed?
All right. Biggest crowd first. Oh, it's got to be, let me think. One that springs to mind was sold out O Beach in Ibiza. Ibiza, my favorite place in the world to play. And they had to be, probably a couple of thousand in there. I might have played to a bigger crowd before, but I just remember that because I was looking over the crowd and the sun was setting. It was like a daytime event, and you know what the sunset is like in Ibiza. It's just the most beautiful thing in the world. And when you're DJing to a crowd absolutely buzzing as the sun is setting in Ibiza, you can't ask for any more than that. So that's a special memory for me. And have I ever been booed? Yeah, I think I've had yeah, over the years, but the thing is, I've been DJing since I was like 18 years old, right? And when I first started DJing, I was doing like, when you first start on the circuit, I was doing people's weddings and bar
Oh,
mitzvahs and birthday parties. That's how I broke in really, by doing sort of starting with discos and stuff. And there was definitely a few dodgy ones, maybe a few dodgy weddings or birthday parties I played at when the crowd, maybe they weren't feeling one of the tunes. They all start going,
yeah,
start.
them weddings can get they can get a bit sketchy.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it get a bit rowdy.
all right,
I've had
Joe.
nothing thrown at me though. No tomatoes, no rotten tomatoes.
That's I call that's a win, Joel. Of course, you're you're a producer, you're a DJ, but you're also, unless I heard wrong, you're a competitive bodybuilder. Is that not true?
Yeah, well, in my life, my two biggest passions were always music and DJing, and fitness, going to the gym. So when I was a teenager, I'd either be DJing in my bedroom on my decks with the neighbors telling me to turn the music down, or I'd be, down the gym. And yeah, I carried on these two things for my whole life. And in my 20s, I did take my fitness very seriously, and I was competing in men's physique competitions, which is like bodybuilding, but not so much like the mass monsters that you would associate with bodybuilding. It was
Right.
more like a streamlined men's physique sort of look. But yeah, that they were tough. I did it for years. They were really tough competitions because of the way you got to diet down, and it's very intense training. But I feel like I completed everything that I wanted to in that sort of in that competitive world. I landed a front cover of Muscle and Fitness, which was like my dream, to get on the front cover of one of those magazines. And I still go to the gym every day though. It's a big part of my life. It keeps me fit and healthy mentally as well as physically. But my focus is now 100% on my music and my DJing. And but yeah, fitness will always be a big part of my life.
Random question. We were talking about getting booed earlier. They don't boo in bodybuilding, do they? Like, have you ever been on stage? That would be
That
awful.
would be that would be pretty brutal.
Man,
No, I never boo it. With sort of like bodybuilding composites, the crowd are always generally like really encouraging, because it takes a lot to get up there, man.
no doubt. All right, Joel Corry is hanging out, you guys. What is the weirdest, most awkward place that you've been asked for a selfie?
Oh god, there's been a few, but I think the classic one is in the toilet before you get on the decks. And the worst bit about it is like, I would love taking selfies with anybody, like, but um, toilet is a dodgy one, because if you have one with one person in the toilet, everyone else looks, and then they want one, and then suddenly you're stuck in a smelly toilet,
Oh,
having a line of people getting selfies, and you've got to get on the decks in like 5 minutes time, and you're just getting mobbed in a smelly toilet. Oh, it's just the worst, man.
why is I've asked this question to a lot of people, and that is that this comes up more than you'd think. I mean, everybody should know that that's off limits for selfies. It's the toilet. Yet people ask all the time.
Oh man, and then the worst is like, on some of them, when you get tagged on social media the next day, you're having a selfie, and then there's some geezer in the background having a wee,
Oh
and you're just
God.
like, oh, this is awful.
Oh my God. Love it. Joel Corey is, well, love it in a funny way, but that's awful. Whoever's grandpa that was. Sorry. Joel Corey is hanging out. Joel, have you ever been, because I know you've met a lot of people, work with a lot of people. Have you ever been starstruck?
Yeah, like, I'm so lucky to, be in the studio with some amazing artists, especially over the last few months. And I guess, like, when you get to get on with someone that you've looked up to for years, you're automatically in awe of them. And to some of these talented people that you're in the room with, I'm even pinching myself thinking, I can't believe I'm here. And yeah, I mean, recently, I've had sessions with like Jess Glynn, for example, who's
Oh, wow.
someone that over the years, I was always a massive fan of. And then now I'm like in the studio with her, watching this amazing talent, singing and writing. And I'm like, wow, I can't believe I'm sitting here right now. And of course, I got my recent track, MNEK, another person that is such a talented, amazing person in so many ways. And to even do a track with him, I was so buzzing about that. And, when we shot the music video, it was actually the first time I met him. Because of lockdown, we didn't get to actually go in the studio. So we finished Head and Heart during lockdown remotely.
Right.
So on the day of like actually meeting him and shooting the music video, I was like, oh my God, this is actually real and this is happening. So, but yeah, honestly, anyone that I meet, I'm always so grateful to be in a position to work with them.
It is a rush to put someone on a pedestal, and I've had that happen a couple of times, quite a few times. And you meet them in person, it's always, sometimes most of the times it goes good because I've met a lot of fun, good people. But I'm always afraid that I'm going to meet someone that I, worship is a bad word, but idolize. And
Yeah.
if they're a terrible human being, it's awful, But luckily, you and I've had some pretty good experiences, so there's that. Joel Corry is hanging out, you guys. Joel, you mentioned in some interview that your usual method to test new music is in the clubs. Obviously, you haven't been able to hit the clubs in quite a while, but you found a new way to test, or how do you test to see if this track you're working on has got what it takes? What do you do now?
You know what? I haven't found a replacement way of doing it, is the honest truth, because there's nothing like playing a record to a dance floor and watching the reaction, that's a way that I've definitely over the years used as a way to play my tracks and then go back to the studio and make adjustments where I feel like it needs it. Maybe there's like with the drop or, something with the EQ levels, whatever. But there hasn't been a replacement of it yet. It's kind of just going with my gut instinct right now. I mean, there's live streams obviously where you get reactions in the chat rooms and stuff, but yeah, to be honest, man, there hasn't been a replacement of that. I mean, I never played Head and Heart to a crowd, which is just absolutely mental for me to think
that one's going to be massive whenever you do. It's going to be,
But gut instinct told me it was ready to go. I spent a lot of time finessing it, and I knew when it was ready to go. But yeah, I never got that sort of luxury of testing it to a crowd.
On that note of testing a song to a crowd, clearly when a song works, you play it, people go crazy. But have you ever had a dance floor just clear, like, oh my God, this song is like did not work at all? Have you had that happen, or?
Yeah, I mean, let's go back to the wedding days.
Oh, that's right.
I'll tell you what, yeah. I don't get nervous DJing to like 5,000 people in a mega super club, whatever, but DJing to like 40 people at a wedding is so nerve-wracking. Because it's your job. Like in a club, everyone's there for a night out, so everyone's going to be dancing anyway. But in like a wedding situation or a birthday party, nobody's there ready to dance. You've got to get them up. It's all on you, man. So learning my ropes that way, I'm telling you, made me a much better DJ. Because that's pressure.
That's pressure, man. Like for me to speak in front of a large crowd is fine, but if they say, "Hey JoJo, can you speak at a kindergarten class?"
Yeah. Oh man,
it's the worst. I mean, it's awesome, but
I remember DJing at like the school parties as well, when they were like young kids leaving primary school, whatever. They used to have like the parties at the end of the year, and all the teachers would be lined up down the sides of the hall, and the kids would be in the middle. And that is even more nerve-wracking because you've got a DJ and try and control these kids while the teachers are like literally standing down the side, and you're like,
oh my God, way too much pressure.
Yeah.
Joel Corry is hanging out. What has 2020 taught you? And what are you looking forward to most in 2021?
All right. I would say 2020 has definitely taught me to appreciate the things that I've got in life. It's told me to make sure that I need to, in the future, stay more connected with my friends and family, because, over the years when I've been touring, I haven't spent as much quality time, but I have been doing that this year. And I've realized, how important that is. And I'd say looking forward to 2021, I just can't wait to get back out there again. And I just think got to appreciate the moments more, because now I think we realize that things can get taken away so quickly. So I really do think that when things do get back to normal, and especially for me, when I'm back out on the road touring, like I said earlier, I just think I'm really going to appreciate every single moment. I'll never moan about a long journey or a flight ever again,
Right, no doubt. Quick recap: Head and Heart is out, featuring MNEK. Get on this track, or you're a bad person. I think that's safe to say. Album in the works. Details on that coming up soon. We covered a lot of ground, but what am I missing, Joel? What am I forgetting to ask you? What do people need to know?
Ooh, what do people need to know? You have covered a lot, to be fair. I think you've got, because you know what? I haven't got I'm not, what would I say? I'm a bit of a boring person, actually.
Aren't we all, right? I
haven't really got any secret hobbies to tell you or anything like that. what have we got to cover? I'll tell you what, I'm a big footy fan, but you guys call it soccer, but I call it football. We call it football over here.
Dude, whenever the time is right and we can get back to normal and you can get back to, or you can come to the States and hang out, you got to run by and we're going to do a lunch or a dinner or some drinks. And it's just, I want to pick your brain about London here. Just tell me stories. I just can't wait to meet you in person.
Oh, me too, man. It's going to be so cool. It's great meeting you over, virtually, but obviously when we get a chance to hang out in person, it's going to be awesome, man. And, America's such a big dream for me. So to see what's going on now with this record is just, I'm buzzing. And hopefully next year I'll be over there and I'll be able to play some sets and hang out with you guys.
Love it. Joel, at the end of every countdown, fist bump to make it official. Tap that cam.
Boom. Boom.